Welcome to Trailblazers and Titans with your host, Dr. Keith Haney. Trailblazers and Titans is your go-to podcast for insights, inspiration, and actionable advice from the world's most successful entrepreneurs and leaders. Each episode features in-depth interviews with industry pioneers, innovative thinkers, and business moguls who share their journeys, challenges, and strategies for success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned leader, or someone looking to make a significant impact, this podcast provides the tools and motivation to blaze your trail and become a titan in your field. Tune in to learn, grow, and transform your vision into reality.
Welcome to Trailblazers and Titans, the podcast where we spotlight bold thinkers, fearless leaders, and visionaries who reshape industry and communities. I am your host, Keith Haney. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the world of entrepreneurship and business strategy. Kathryn Mitchell is the founder of Miss Cat Consulting and Concept to Company program, where she helps entrepreneurs evolve from hustlers to funding-ready CEOs. With over a decade of experience and a background in building her own tax software company, Kathryn has guided hundreds of business owners to increase income, streamline operations, and build real companies, not just hustles. Her tough love accountability step-by-step blueprint delivers measurable results. Kathryn's unique methodology focuses on complete business architecture, combining legal structure, funding preparation, client acquisition systems, and operational frameworks into a cohesive strategy. She is also the co-host of Both Sides of the Check, a podcast that dives deep into the realities of entrepreneurship and wealth building. Today, we explore Kathryn's journey, her approach to building sustainable businesses, and her mindset shifts required to go from surviving to thriving. Well, Kathryn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
That is a mouthful of stuff there, I got to tell you.
Well, hey, after over 10 years in entrepreneurship, hopefully you have something to show
That's
for
right.
it.
That's what you are. You want a resume to go with that.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm going to ask you my favorite question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would just say there's different advice for different things. So in the vein of entrepreneurship, I would just say that my best piece of advice is to embrace what one would consider failure. Like a lot of times people they try to get away from it. But what we realize is that's just part of the journey. Like that's what helps shape you, that's what help mold you, help you become stronger and more mature through the journey. So always take the lesson out of it. Don't it, a L, for lack of better terms, doesn't have to be a loss. It can always be a lesson. So I would say that's one of the biggest things that I've gathered and through this journey of entrepreneurship for sure.
I love that. And I can take that too. Take the L, not necessarily be a loss, but it could be a lesson. See, that could be another. I had to take that quote and say, as Keith always says.
Hey.
So tell us, what inspired you to start Miss Cat Consulting?
Great question. So I think first things first, it kind of started off with my actual journey just in entrepreneurship, period. 10 years ago, I was what I thought was successful. I had a six-figure, income job and just doing my thing. And so I was in property management, but the property that I was working for, it got sold. And when the new owners took over, they had their own staff. They had, everything already put together. So we lost our jobs. And at that time, I decided, like, man, I don't ever want anyone to have that type of control over my lifestyle or, who I am as an individual. So I decided that I was going to make a commitment to myself that I would, start entrepreneurship, and I've done that, since that time. But the reason why I started a consulting firm is because I wanted to be the person that I needed back then. when I started my journey. It was a lot of blood, it was a lot of sweat, it was a lot of tears. And one thing that I do advocate for is mentorship and coaching, because one thing that you will find, through this journey is that a lot of this stuff could be, you don't have to go through it if you lock in with someone that's already been there, done that, wrote the book, filmed the movie. so, so for me, I just wanted to be that person that could help guide and help mitigate some of those lessons as people navigate through the journey of entrepreneurship.
That's great. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs before. That's one of them. I love that space and love the way entrepreneurs think. You're a different breed of people, and I say that with great respect. But what are some of the early challenges that you faced as an entrepreneur and business owner?
Um, the first things first is a lot of times we have a great idea. We're talented, but we don't know the business side of things. So we jump out there just, 10 toes down, and get out there and realize, "Oh my god, I need to structure my business. Oh my god, I need to pay my taxes." Like I can't be making money and not paying my taxes. So there's so many like fundamental foundational pieces that a lot of people who are operating in just simply passion overlook. And so you again, some of these mistakes that you make because you don't know any better, they're not $20 mistakes. This could be $1,000 or $10,000, mistake because you just didn't know better. So I would just say for me in my journey, when you have to try to figure it out yourself, not only are you wasting a lot of money trying to figure it out, but it's a lot of time, energy, resources where potentially it could have took me, 1 year, but now I'm 5 years in the game because, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to TikTok it. I'm trying to YouTube University, right? so, so again, it's just money, time, and energy that could be going toward my business, but I'm trying to figure it out. And I would say that would be where I started out, in my journey in entrepreneurship for sure.
Now, the negative side of it, I hear from people who aren't entrepreneurs and sometimes have, let's face it, a little bit of a bias about entrepreneurs because of their success, will say that either they didn't earn it or they took advantage of somebody to get there. How do you, I love when entrepreneurs have to respond to this, how do you respond to the people, the critics, the noise behind you that says they don't deserve to be there?
I in my opinion in my opinion, as one who has got it out the mud, for the lack of better terms, I am 100% biased that, those that have burnt the boat and are on the other side of the fence and grinding it out 100% without any safety net, without any side hustle or 9 to 5. I just definitely think that it's not the same. And unfortunately, for those that are not on this side of the fence, they have no merit in the conversation, with all due respect, because again, unless you've went 100% all in, a lot of times people are just speculating on, what they think the journey is like. A lot of times you're just watching social media and they genuinely don't know, what it's like to be. So for me, I definitely celebrate, I advocate for, because it's not easy. It's not for the weak of heart, it's not for the faint of heart. You have to be a different type of crazy, to decide, to go full-fledged, but it is rewarding. It is definitely like they say, without any risk, there's no reward. So, for those that, put it all out there and do it, we deserve that because we took off the safety net, and I believe that it's well deserved when you do hit it big because of all the sacrifice that goes, with it.
Yeah, I love that because I had an entrepreneur tell me it's like it's different when you're the one writing the check and you don't get paid first. You're writing the
And
check. So,
that
I
part.
always love to give entrepreneurs a chance to kind of respond back to the noise around entrepreneurship.
Like I said, if you're not on this side of the fence, you don't have any merit in the conversation. I'm sorry to say. I love you guys, and I appreciate it, but, like I said, you have to have been here, done that to be able to, participate in the conversation, in my opinion.
I like that. So let's talk about moving from, entrepreneurship from hustle to enterprise. What does that transformation look like to just, I got a side hustle and I'm doing some extra income to, okay, now this is something else. This is a next level, next tier income producing adventure.
Most definitely, most definitely. Well, and that's a great question, and I think that that looks different for everybody, because what is successful to me might not be successful to you. For me personally, I just wanted to be a six-figure earner. And not that I was not a six-figure earner in the past, but I had did it for everybody else, working these jobs, so on and so forth, being a slave to the man, for lack of a better term. So for me, my first initial goal was like, I just want to make six figures off of my own products or my own services off my own two hands. So that was my first goal. So I would just say that for those that are thinking about, taking it from a hustle to the next level, first set a goal. What is your goal that you want to achieve financially, in this space? And then from there, building, like I said, the right foundation, because nothing can scale, nothing can grow if you're building your house on sand, like they say, right? So you want to make sure that you have a solid foundation. You want to find a tribe. And when I say a tribe, I'm not talking about your mama, your cousin, people that you and ironically, a lot of times when you start a business, it's the strangers that support you the most, right? So just finding a tribe of people that can help encourage you, uplift you when things seem like they're going, left, or you stumbled into a lesson that you don't really quite know how to get out of, right? So just having a tribe, having a good foundation, and then, being able to, once get to a point where you have the money coming in, you got it going on, then being able to automate. I think automation is also key as well, because that's what helps you scale.
I'm curious, as you're an entrepreneur right now in this space with AI, what are you discovering in terms of, do you use AI to enhance what you're doing, or is one of those things where you're in a position with your businesses that AI is not influencing your bottom line?
That's a great question. I think that for those that are not using AI, you are asleep. You are under a rock. I mean, there's nothing constant in the world but change. So I think that for those that are embracing those changes and embracing those new tools, that's what's going to keep you fresh and keep you ahead of the game. You can't be long term in entrepreneurship trying to do the same thing that we was doing 10 years ago. Right? You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have to uh, you know, upgrade and progress with the times. And so that's another reason why I feel like, mentorship and coaching, because some of us, we get stuck in our ways. Let's just be real. Yeah, oh, it been working for 10 years, I'm good. And so, but the thing is, when the new tools come out and everybody else is going up and you're still where you are, so to answer your question for in a long-winded way, I definitely advocate for AI. I use AI almost every day in my everyday entrepreneurship entrepreneurship life, and I feel like everybody else should be doing the same.
Yeah, but
Stay ahead of the curve for sure.
I'm an OG. I like the
Hey, but like I said before, what success looks like to you, you might, you may have scaled to a certain point. You're like, "Hey, I'm cool with this." So, the great thing about this journey is that it looks different for everybody else. You know what I mean? So you
Sure.
just have to, fight the fight that looks good for you. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So if you don't want to use AI, hey, you do what you do. But as for me and my house, we gonna use AI.
I love that. For new entrepreneurs, since you get a chance to consult with people who are maybe in different phases of this journey, what are some common mistakes that new entrepreneurs make? And we talked about a couple of them, not having the business mindset and not having
Most
coaching. But are
definitely.
there some other things that you've noticed that like, whoa, why do we keep hitting our head against this wall and wonder why it hurts?
Most definitely. Well, that's a great question. So, for me, I think, like I said, people have great passion, they have great ideas, but I don't know why we feel like, the game is just to be told. Like they said back in the day, the game is to be sold, not to be told. So what that means is that you can't get everything that you need off of YouTube or TikTok, or you know what I mean? Like you're going to have to invest in some type of, if you don't want to go to school and learn the trick of the trades, then you're going to have to invest in a coach or a mentor. And I think a lot of times people just don't want to invest in their business or their brand. So that I think that's the first mistake. And that does lean into mindset. You go from a 9 to 5 working under someone else's brand or somebody's umbrella where everything is handed to you. You have to now realize, no, I'm in control. I am the creator of all of this. And so if it's perceived as good, kudos to me. But if it's perceived as bad, that's on me too, So we have to take, responsibility. But as far as I think the first things first is just, like I said, foundation. And I know that that might sound redundant or I'm beating a dead horse, but you'll be surprised how many people get an LLC and just think that they've accomplished life. Go get an LLC and now you can go get $100,000 worth of business funding. Y'all have fun trying to do that, okay? You know what I mean? So first of all, I'm gonna give you guys just a little juice, a little gems. Since you're tuning in today, I just give y'all a little freebie here. The first thing when you actually want to start a business, the first thing that you need to think about is your business name, because a lot of times people are starting off all the way wrong because they have a high risk business name, meaning that they might say, "Oh, I'm Miss Cat's credit repair. I'm Miss Cat," even in the tax space, with it being a seasonal. So when you go to try to get funding or try to do things, you're already starting wrong. Nobody teaches you that you're starting wrong just with your business name. You have no hope and you haven't even got a LLC. You haven't done nothing because you have a high risk business name, right? Then when you go get that LLC, you have to remember that that is public domain, meaning that whatever you put on that LLC, if you put your house, your mama's house, whoever's house on there, if I Google up your business, I'm going to see your information. That's public domain. So when you go get that LLC, you want to make sure that you actually have information on there that is not something that you don't want to share with the world that may Google you. So I'm gonna give you just that, just a little something. But those are some of the common, like before we even get started in business, those are some of the most common things that I see just initially, once they get out into this game of entrepreneurship.
So
Hopefully that wasn't too long
no, it
winded.
wasn't. It was great. It was actually great because it made me think of another question. I know I'm a pastor, and I know I've worked a lot with churches who, if oftentimes half the churches we plant fail, and I heard it's quite similar with businesses too. And I'm sure part of that is like you talk about, we don't understand the space that we're in, and we make critical mistakes along the way. In the first 3 months, besides picking the wrong name and putting our information on LLC, what are some things you noticed that's like, wow, if you had not done that, you may have been more successful? Is it funding for some people? Is it the product you're trying to sell? You don't have expertise. What is the thing you kind of go, man, that one's just like that was a head scratcher?
Well, that's a good question. Let me. I got to think about that for a second because the thing is that a lot of times these situations are unique.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So everybody's situation is different. But what I will say is that I've met a lot of people that just started off wrong. Like I said, their structure is just totally. So if you're starting a business and you just absolutely have the wrong LLC or the wrong, I mean, you're already just starting off in the wrong the wrong way. I've seen people who literally make good money with their business. I'm talking about $10,000, $15,000, a month in their business, and they try to scale and they try to get funding, and it's like, oh, well, you have a Gmail account. You don't even have a legitimate business. I can't find you. I'm trying to research your company. I can't even find you anywhere, on the internet so I would say to answer that question now that I'm thinking about it and I'm talking through it, just you have to understand that if you want people to invest in you, you have to invest in yourself. And that means, your branding, your socials. We are in a social media age. Some people will go look at before they even look at your website, they might go to your socials and see what you got going on social media, right? So you need to have the professional email, the professional. I shouldn't be calling your cell phone, trying to do business with you, right? So there are, basic fundamentals that, a lot of people do have to get in check if you want to scale, and take things to the next level for sure.
So you're saying if I have a social media, don't have my social and my personal together where I got TikTok videos of me dancing on my business thing.
You said it, not me. All I'm trying to say is that you, as a business, you want to obviously separate your business from your personal. And that also brings up another good point too, is another common mistake. So thank you. Thank you for bringing this out because I totally forgot about this. A lot of people are not separating their business finances from their personal. So that is one of the no of no, 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 no. Once you get that LLC, you need to run, not walk to the bank and get you a business bank account. You want to make sure that you keep every transaction that's in and out that's in regards to your business. You want to keep that in your business bank account and track that because they are cracking down, them being the IRS, on these side hustles, things of that nature. People just claiming these random businesses. You have to, get it in order. So if if anything I can say is you want to make sure that you get a business bank account and make sure that you're, transacting all of your business resources in and out through that business bank account. So hopefully that helps somebody today.
That's very helpful. So
For
tell us
sure.
about your podcast, Both Sides of the Check. What inspired that?
Well, so what inspired that was, being in this realm of entrepreneurship. A lot of people like we talked about earlier, they speculate, they think they know, or they think that we are the same, meaning that they think that their side hustle and their 9 to 5 is the same as a person who is 10 toes down in entrepreneurship. And so I created a space for two reasons. First reason was I wanted to honor those because a lot of people talk about, oh, businesses are failing and everybody's shutting down. We hear about that all the time, but we never hear about the people that hustled through, that made it, that's here for the long term. So I wanted to bring on those people, honor them and give them a platform that they can tell their story. But also, I wanted to have a real space where aspiring entrepreneurs are people that were thinking about, going full-fledged, to hear it from real people, not people that's just on the gram, making it seem like it's rainbows and butterflies and we just making so much money and, we making it rain, right? No, we wanted to tell the real stories of real entrepreneurs that are full time. So that's what both sides of the check is. Basically, the difference between a check writer, that's our term. We say check writer, a person that's full time, versus a check casher who may be, an entrepreneur on the side, but they haven't 100% went, full on. That's what the preface of the show is about, to inspire and just to, like I said, for those that are thinking about joining us, you get a real perspective of what it's like on this side of the fence.
Well, that's a needed conversation. Good thing. And tell us about your vision for a concept, a company, and the future of entrepreneurship.
Yes, yes, yes. So as I stated, initially, um, I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years. I've made it through the pandemic. I've made it, as we go through inflation and just all these crazy things. Um, I just wanted to be, an advocate for those that, may be losing their job and don't know what the next move, or maybe they had an idea, they just don't know what to do next. Anybody who has an idea, who wants to take that idea and make it into income. So I created a course. It's a self-paced, step-by-step journey on, how to take a concept and make it into a company that once you're done with the program, you'll be set up so you'll be fundable, for a lack of better terms. So we show you not just the how to go get a LLC, but we also show you, the full foundation. We show you how to make money with your business, because a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, we just think with blinders. So sometimes someone outside of the box might say, "Hey, did you consider putting this spin to it? Did you consider adding this, to your your portfolio or whatever the case?" So, with that said, we talk about how to make money, and then how to automate. So once you're making money, once you, get things going, how to scale and take it to the next level. So it's a self-paced course, but for 8 weeks, I do group coaching and mentorship. So I take everyone through the course. And, the goal is after that 8 weeks, not only just to have, a legitimate business and brand, but also, the ability to be set up to get funding. Because I think that, everybody wants to have not just a good business, but a business that can scale and make money and get money, if needed, for sure.
That's awesome. So, how do you see your work impacting? And I think it's an important question, like underserved communities and minority owned businesses.
Well, that's a good question. Being a minority, and just navigating through this life, of entrepreneurship, I always try to be, um, a resource, if that makes sense. Having the podcast is another, opportunity for me to give back, because we give a lot of knowledge, jewels and gems, on that platform. And, with that being said, I think that for me, when I created my concept to company, I didn't hold anything back. So a lot of times when people create these courses or ebooks or whatever, they always, leave a little piece out, or leave a, little something, so that way you have to buy more or do more. Once you come under my umbrella, I make sure that there is no stone left unturned. Everything that I know, I pour it into my mentees and my people. And so I just look forward to, for those that are, interested in, really taking business and going to the next level, they will see that I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship, because it's changed my life. And then for those that are really wanting to change their life, I'm not going to hold anything back. It ain't about the money for me. It's more about the transformation and making sure that people genuinely hit their goals on what they want to achieve.
That's great. I love that. So I'm going to ask you my other favorite question. This has been a great conversation. What legacy do you want to leave behind?
Ooh, you laying it on thick today. Well, I mean, for me, I am a single parent of two. I do have two, little girls actually. So if not for nothing, I want them to not only, look at me as their mother, but as a hero of someone that said, hey, I can make my own way, and they watch me do it. I don't just talk about it, but I be about it. Also leaving them tangible businesses, so I'm creating this, of course, so we can live and thrive and survive, now, but this is something that, when I pass on, I can leave that, to them. And so with that being said, I can do it for me, but for those that are under my tutelage, under my, my mentorship, that's something that I offer anybody that comes under me and makes a business or creates a new brand. That's a legacy that they have now that they didn't have before. That's a source of income that, maybe they were struggling trying to figure it out. Now they're like, oh man, I'm making 10 grand a month. I never thought that I could do this. Right. So for me, I just want to be, you know, an opportunity. I just want to not only help people in real time, but like you said, just leave legacy, because these businesses and these things that we are creating, they outlive us. And, and I'm glad to in some way be a part of that for myself and for anybody else that, wants to be under the Miss Cat brand.
There you go, Miss Cat. So, Miss Cat, on season 6 of the podcast, we have a surprise question. Pick a number
Ooh.
between 1 and 10 for your surprise question.
Oh Lord. I'm gonna go with 7.
Oh, that's a popular number today.
Okay.
If you could look at through one person's email without them knowing it, whose email would you look through?
Ooh, whose email? I would have to say Dr. Eric Thomas. He is one of my I'm infatuated with him because he's one of the motivational speakers of the world. And I say I would love to look through his emails because I'm sure that a lot of people come to him with a lot of problems and a lot of, chaos or whatever. So getting to get feedback from, someone who's motivational and spiritual and, all of those great things. I wonder what those I would love to be a fly on the wall, or maybe something, a bug in the computer.
There you go.
Just to kind of see what they talk about. But no, he's awesome. So that's somebody that I, really look up to, Dr. Eric Thomas.
That's great. So, Kathryn, where can people find you on social media, find your company, and learn more about you?
Yes, yes, yes. So, basically, you can find me on all social media platforms at Connect with Miss Cat. So, even though my name is Kathryn Mitchell, they do call me Miss Cat. So, it's Connect with Miss Cat. That's MSCAT on all platforms. If you want to hear the podcast or learn more about the podcast, it's both sides of the check on all platforms. And I do have a special gift for everybody who was tuned in today. So if you go to my social, either on Facebook or Instagram, and DM me the word company, I do have a free $1 million brand guide that I will send to everybody absolutely free, just to thank them for tuning in today and thank you for having me on your platform. So all you got to do again is just go to Connect with Miss Cat, either on Facebook or Instagram, send me a DM, and we'll shoot you over that $1 million brand guide absolutely free.
Well, thank you for that wonderful gift. We
You're
thank
welcome.
Kathryn
Thank
for
you
being
for
on the
having me.
podcast. Kathryn is more than a strategist. She is a builder of dreams, a challenger of norms, and a guide for those who return turn hustle into legacy. Her work is transforming how we think about entrepreneurship. Her impact is felt in every business she touches. Thank you, Kathryn, for blazing a trail and showing us what it means to be a titan in today's business world.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Trailblazers and Titans. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in the insights shared, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and continue bringing you the stories of the world's most inspiring leaders. Don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and exclusive content. Join our community of Trailblazers and Titans, and let's continue to learn, grow, and transform our visions into reality together. Until next time, keep blazing your trail and striving for greatness.